All right, welcome back to Rarest Photos, where we're gonna do part two of looking into this interview that was done with Jeannie LeMay Dumas, who was the friend of Linda Thompson and who spent quite a bit of time at Graceland and on the road with Elvis. We all know that she was kind of a secretary for a while as well. I think more the fan mail secretary, but yeah, I think it's a very interesting conversation that was had. I don't hear many difficult questions asked. It seems like it's a kind of a helpful interview for her book or her books. And we're reading her book right now, and I think it's a great book. It's a great insight look into Graceland. So without much further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get it back into this interview, and we will discuss it.
Yeah.
I mean, this beautiful blonde beauty upstairs in Elvis's bedroom with the king of rock and roll.
And nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
I knew Linda was pretty old-fashioned, and I knew she was, very pure. And I really didn't believe that she was going to submit to this at all. But and I didn't think he was, capable of raping her. My goodness. But I just thought that, oh my God, there is a possibility here. And so when I asked her, she said, "You're not going to believe this." He read to me from the Bible.
Wow.
And all these religious books, and we talked, and we just cuddled, and he's just wonderful and considerate and kind. And I went, oh my God, he's perfect. He's just this perfect man. So that was the infamous meeting.
Yeah.
But
What did you think of Graceland when you first saw it?
Well, I didn't think it was very flamboyant at the time. Now, this was before he actually renovated it in the Red era.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was still kind of conservative to me. It was bigger than a lot of houses that I had been in. I mean, it was still a mansion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I hadn't been upstairs in the bedroom yet. But when I had that opportunity, of course, I can tell you, how I ended up working there. I ended up moving back to Memphis in ¡74, and then I was actually working in a restaurant as a hostess supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a call from Linda one day, and she just said, Elvis wants to know if you want a job. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, well, Becky Yancey quit after like 20 years or something like that. She, I think, wanted, more money. And Mr. Presley was very frugal. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked Linda to call me. And so that was an offer I couldn't really refuse. I loved my job. I really did. But
what was your job?
I was the hostess supervisor at this restaurant at the time.
Yeah, but when you started to work for Elvis.
At Graceland. Fan mail secretary. So what happened was Becky had done all the executive work, and so Elvis's cousin Patsy Gamble,
Sure.
Presley, took over that position, and then I did her position. So I handled the fan mail with Paulette Lewis Schaefer, and it's Williams now.
Boy, do I have a question for you.
Okay.
Since you worked and did the fan mail, did the secretaries, it's long been said that the secretary signed Elvis's name.
Everybody asked that. I personally didn't sign anything. Now, all I witnessed, actually, is Patsy had to sign certain legal stuff, because, I mean, they certainly weren't going to wake up Elvis in the middle of the day
For every little thing.
Documents. Yeah. So I know she had to do that, but I never really witnessed her signing any of the other stuff.
Okay.
So I certainly didn't do it. But that's all I really know. But it's a shame. It's a shame that everybody thinks they really didn't get a legitimate.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that most Elvis fans these days understand. If you're getting hundreds of thousands of letters a year and autograph requests, I'm sure in the tens of thousands, You just can't do it. I mean, I think that everybody assumed it was Elvis back then, and that was special to them. But for those people that are seeking an autograph or sought an autograph back then for value, whatever, it's on them. I mean, the thing is, you're just using Elvis for an autograph. For the most part in my life, I've never cared about autographs. I had a couple of my country music singer heroes that I wrote with and produced. One of them, Vern Gosdin and Joe Stampley, and my music manager, Merle Kilgore, signed my guitar. Um, it was nice. I mean, Vern Gosdin wrote "You're the Best," my best, Vern Gosdin, and then, or no, to the best, my best, Vern Gosdin, and then Merle Kilgore wrote "You've Got It, Cash It In." Joe Stampley said something. My friend, I can't remember now, but I wasn't looking at selling their autographs. And then I spent some time with when I was just 20 years old in Pioneer Town, where I was the house band, and he came up there to take a look at one of his old movie sets that he shot some of his movies, and we just palled around and had lunch, and he wore my black hat, and I wore his white hat. Because he always was known for wearing the white hat, Gene Autry. Also wrote Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and he did sign a couple of pictures for me and gave them to me. And I have photographs of those pictures, but they were my parents. They took those, and I don't think I ever got those back. But very cool, regardless. So I guess the question I have is, do you have an autograph from that time, and are you wondering whether it's authentic or not? Probably is somebody signing the autographs, but is it that any less special to you?
Well, was it very common for Elvis to send out autographed letters to people?
No, I don't think he did a lot of it. But I know that there were some things, that they did send to the house.
Mm-hmm.
But see, I don't know all the details about that because I didn't witness it.
Yeah.
But I know that they did have to bring certain things in for him to sign.
Right.
But I know Patsy signed, probably things a little less important.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm sure he signed some of the autographs, but I don't think it was.
Well, they almost make it sound like it was masked signatures that like the secretaries were in there signing all these letters and sending them out to fans, but it wasn't like that.
No, not at all.
Now, how was Vernon Presley? How was Vernon?
Well, Vernon was tough. I found he was wonderful in the beginning there.
Mm-hmm.
When Elvis's health declined and he was in the hospital there in 75, like I think 4 or 5 times, for goodness sake, the fan mail was outrageous. I mean, we had boxes. There was only 2 of us doing this, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
So boxes and boxes. I mean, they actually reached my desk. In the picture in my book, you can actually see the box, and it reaches the table where my typewriter was.
Mm-hmm.
That's how high the boxes were. I'm sorry, what was the question?
How was Vernon?
Oh, Vernon. I totally lost it. Vernon, like I said, the beginning was wonderful, and I think he started to get nervous. Of course, then there was problems, I think, with the colonel and with a lot of things. And, of course, we didn't know back then about the drugs and everything.
Right.
Well, I vaguely knew from Linda. She said there were problems and all this, but I didn't know he was in the hospital for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really said, and I never asked because I'm not that newsy. But Vernon, toward the end, I ended up quitting because he was so bad. You could tell he was just totally stressed out. But I was stressed out too.
Mm-hmm.
He, I just said, Miss Presley, you just can't talk to us like that. I mean, he was tough. He was harsh. And Linda told Elvis that when she told Elvis that I had quit. He says, "Well, Jesus, she can't do that, because you just don't quit working for Elvis that easily." So he thinks that it's kind of an insult,
right?
And he gets hurt.
Did they ask for you to come back?
Well, what he did was, Linda explained to him the situation. She just said, Jeannie, you know how harsh your father can be, and it's tough. And what I decided to do was I was going to be traveling with Linda. I was going to be doing that. So basically, I did a little traveling, and I was going to I was thinking of moving to California and all that. So I didn't want to go back, as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But everything was fine, and then.
Are you still okay with Vernon even after you quit? I mean.
Oh yeah. Oh no. As a matter of fact, when my sister got married on June 26th, and just so happened that Elvis was going to be in Rhode Island that day, and so I actually, Linda said, "Well, why don't you hitch a ride on the Lisa Marie, because we're going there anyway." So I did, and I saw Mr. Presley, and he was fine.
And everything.
Well, that's a nice little story that I didn't really ever hear about, and it kind of shows Elvis's, the side we know about Elvis, the insecure side, the side that gets hurt when somebody doesn't want to be a part of his life anymore, because I think he developed relationships with everybody. When you develop relationships with everybody, you have feelings for people, and you feel let down, and so, yeah, what do you think about that? In addition, I do think it's nice that he was cool about it, and she got to ride on the Lisa Marie, and he didn't hold hard feelings.
It was fine. That's cool that they could do that.
Yeah, because very few people tell Vernon off, and I guess I was one of them, because he had to be told.
Right.
Because you just, I told him, I said basically, just because you're Elvis's dad doesn't mean you can talk to us like this. And I don't think the other two girls, you could have heard a pin drop. I mean, Patsy, her mouth just dropped right open. I couldn't believe it either. But, it had to be done.
Well, he probably respected you more.
I think so.
For standing up.
So.
Yeah.
I wasn't a little wimp. Yeah, I think so. And maybe it's from being from this area. I don't know, but all I know is it had to be done.
Yeah.
And I was proud of myself.
Now I got to ask you something. You got to tell me about Elvis's bedroom.
Okay. Well, basically, how that all happened was, I got to stay with Linda when Elvis went out of town. Now, people got to realize that I did not stay there when he was there, except for Christmas in '73. He was there, and I stayed in the annex area, and got to play with Lisa Marie. I'll tell you that story too. And that was the most exciting time of my whole entire life. I mean, how many people get to spend Christmas at Graceland? But when I first went in the bedroom, first of all, I thought it was very small. I mean, but remember, there was a 9-by-9 bed in there that takes up the whole room. But I mean, for Elvis Presley's bedroom, I expected this humongous room, and the bathroom.
I think this might be a good spot to put the song I wrote that actually talks about Elvis's king-size bed, that 9-by-9. This song's called "Dreaming About Graceland."
It's a place that when you visit, you never forget that first time. Driving through those music gates, excited to be standing in line. Walking past those lion statues and through those big front doors, listening to John Stamos on the iPad tour. To your right, you'll see the long white couch and the fireplace. To your left, the dining room where they sat down, ate and prayed. Then the kitchen where they made bacon and eggs. You'll be talking to your friends about what you saw the next day. And long after your trip home or your plane lands, you'll still be dreaming of Graceland. You'll wish you could walk up those stairs and see where Elvis laid on that 9-by-9 king-size bed, but that wish will be in vain. So you'll keep walking on through the home he dearly loved, and when you leave that day, it still won't be enough. You'll walk down those mirrored stairs stairs to where Elvis played some pool. Then see where he shot those TV sets. Yeah, that part is cool. And then walk up to the jungle room. And wish you could sit down inside the ropes on that cool couch and hear Elvis joke around. You'll remember long after your trip home or your plane lands. You'll still be dreaming of Graceland. You're gonna cry and cry and cry and cry when you're standing right in front of Elvis and Lisa's gravesites. You're gonna cry and cry and cry and cry and cry and cry some more. And some of you who weren't fans will not even know what for. Yeah, you'll remember long after your drive home or your plane lands. You'll still be dreaming of Graceland. Gone down those mirrored stairs to where Elvis played some pool. Then see where he shot those TV sets. Yeah, that part is cool. And then walk up to the jungle room. You could sit down inside the ropes on that cool couch and hear Elvis joke around. You'll remember long after your trip home or your plane lands. You'll still be dreaming of Graceland. Of Graceland.
Let's get back to the examination of this interview.
I thought was a good size, and I thought that the bathroom was gorgeous, and that's why I took a picture of the bathroom. Actually, for my family's benefit, I said, "Oh, my family would love to see this." Not believing in a million years that you know, he would ever leave us there. But I took pictures of that whole upstairs, and I think I'm the only person that did.
Yeah, and you had Linda's permission to do so.
Permission to do so, absolutely. And Elvis knew about it. Elvis knew about it. And I mean, everybody knows, like I said, that these, you know, the upstairs is off limits unless you're living under a rock. You know, the Elvis world knows this. Unless, you know, you're not a fan, you wouldn't know this. But you know, I took these pictures because you know, I was so intrigued to have the opportunity to be up there. And you know, the first shots that I got was when Elvis was getting divorced and he went to L.A. And Linda called me and said, "You want to come down?" So that's how I ended up taking the pictures of the bedrooms, the bathrooms, and everything else. And we had sleepovers. So in the middle of the night, Linda took a picture of me as a joke with my camera, grabbed my camera, and took a picture of me sleeping in the bed with Linda's cousin Lori was in the middle of us. So it was me, Linda, and Lori, and then Janet was on the floor.
So how was the bed? Was it rock hard? Was it soft?
It was soft. I don't think it was rock hard. Back then I don't think they had pillow tops. But there were, you know, there were 2 TVs in the ceiling, which I found a blast. Not that we watched it a whole lot. We watched the other one, but you know, it was definitely a comfortable bed.
And there was an eye level TV too, wasn't there? There was 2 in the ceiling, plus there was one if you were sitting, you could see one too.
No, no. If you were sitting, there was one right in front of it, great big RCA, and matter of fact, probably one of the ones that he shot.
Uh-huh.
You know, if he didn't like somebody on the TV, we all know that he shot the TVs out. So, you know, because the room was so small, yeah, it really wasn't that far away from the bed. You know, and it was huge. And of course downstairs they had one of those big screen TVs, you know, that's similar.
As always, I appreciate y'all taking these journeys with me as we look through the history of Elvis and those around him. And hopefully you've enjoyed these photos of Elvis, including that one of Gary Pepper that I kept quite a while in the middle of the video because I think it's one of my favorite pictures of Elvis. It just shows his kind heart and the fact that he didn't think he was above everybody else, including Gary Pepper. TCB TLC, this is Rare Elvis Photos. And I'm going to get to doing some reading today, and maybe I'll read the Elvis, Linda, and Jeannie book as kind of support to this, and we'll continue looking at some of these interviews. Thanks so much. This is Rare Elvis Photos.